morning, everybody. This is Grant Sparks with the Grant Sparks Show, and today we're talking about kink freedom, world travel, and really the burden of freedom because I only have 1,634 weeks left. You heard that. I did the math this morning. I woke up out of bed and said, how many weeks do I have left to my name? And those weeks were only, of the weeks I have to live, I only have 1,600 more weeks to live. Now, that amounts to 31 more summers. That amounts to 31 more winter hot chocolates by the campfire. That amounts to 31 more fall holidays where I actually get to spend time with family and the surf is there. That's 31 more spring smells of lemongrass. How many more trips is that with friends? How many more times is that with your kids? I only have 1,600 weeks left. 52 weeks a year, 31 more years to live on the averages. So why do so many people know this? I believe so many of you know this intrinsically, that time's ticking away. A lot of my peers now are in their late 30s or early 40s, and they think, man, when I get over the hill, I'm going to change. Hey, fun fact, over the hill started at age 38. If you're over the age of 38, you, my friend, are over the hill, and you need to count how many weeks you have left. I saw this poster online, and it was a big poster of just little circles, and I'm going to buy one. And I'm going to replace this bookshelf right here, and I'm going to put a few things up, and one of them is this poster to remind myself of how many weeks I have left. Now, we started using Jesse Itzler's calendar, the big-ass calendar, and this is very helpful because it shows that you have very limited amount of time to give true effort. And so you start putting less and less on your calendar. But here's my question for today. So many people have an unconscious, if not conscious, knowledge of the fact that they have very limited time left on this world. We've known this since our 20s when we were just living hard, staying up late, taking in as much life as possible. But somewhere in our 30s, we began to slow down and we forget that our time is very limited. So why do so many of you still make decisions that do not lead you to joy, fulfillment, success? Today, we're going to be talking just a little bit about something that I have got from a book title called The Burden of Freedom. And the burden of freedom simply is a great phrase because it encapsulates or it captures the idea that freedom is not something easier. Freedom is a heavy weight. To obtain the freedom in some area of your life that you feel limited takes a huge amount of investment. And for most people, they have an unconscious sense that freedom is heavy and freedom is difficult. And so today I want to talk to you about how I think we can approach a life of more freedom, because even though we intrinsically know that it's heavier, we all still crave it because we go through our life blaming things, as we're going to talk about in just a quick second. Most of us want more freedom in several areas of our life, if not all areas of our lives. But some of you watching this right now can think of an area where you want more freedom. Maybe it's your fitness and health. You want to be free to move and feel comfortable in your body. You want to feel free in your finances. You want to spend more money on the people you love or travel and experiences. You want to invest in freedom relationally. Maybe you want to experience more of your cousins or your aunts and uncles and spend more time around the campfire. Maybe you want more lovers. Whatever it is, you want to experience more freedom. Maybe in your business, you want to do work that is more fulfilling. I think of Nicole's son, Kendrick. Maybe this guy just wants to spend the rest of his time and he feels free when he's on the basketball court. I can relate that when I'm surfing, I feel free. And I literally want to spend more of my life surfing. But it's a heavy weight. And when we are faced with that, we are then faced with the responsibilities of what it takes to do that. Can I shirk my responsibilities? How am I going to do that? Every one of us watching this has an area of your life where you want freedom. And I want to hear in the comments from you. If you're watching this, little Nicole, I see you on Instagram. I don't know who you are, but I see you over here on Twitch. I want to hear in the comments where you want to experience more freedom. I don't care if it's dark, some dark secret of your life, some kink life. I don't care if it's normal and you just want to be free from work. We all want to experience freedom, but we have an intrinsic understanding of the burden of that freedom. So not only do I want to hear in the comments how you want to be experiencing freedom, and you can generalize if you want, but I also want to hear what you think is the limitation to that thing. Is it money? Is it time? Do you feel limited in that area of freedom by, I just can't come up with the discipline. I don't have the knowledge. Very few people will say they lack knowledge. In today's day of omniscience, which we are, if you spend any time with any of the AI, including ChatGPT or Gemini, oh man, and I'm going to share this because Nicole posted it. Nicole says she wants to be free, to be less of a people pleaser. And then what I want to hear, good morning, Tammy Korn. I'm glad you're here. Thank you for being here. And for those on Facebook coming on right now, and for those on YouTube coming on right now, good morning. I want to hear the area where you want more freedom. And you can generalize. You don't have to call particular people out, but you can generalize. And then I want to hear what you think is the price of that freedom. What is the limitation on you? Is it time? Is it awareness? Is it courage? Do you need courage to have difficult conversations? Do you need more money? Do you need more words to say, better words to say? I want to say words because I know there's a tough conversation that's got to be had. What people, I think, realize is they do not choose to live the life that they're passionate about, the goals that they have on their mind, their dream existence, because there is a sense of the weight of freedom. Nicole has stepped up and she says she needs more courage and clarity. That's so honest. And guess what? It's freeing to say that, because the way Nicole has said it touches on the thing I'm going to be talking about today. And that is most people believe that there's a limitation, and I present for your consideration, and we will look at this today. You actually don't have that limitation. Let's talk about it on today's episode of The Spark Show, episode 339. Let's talk about it. Today, I am super grateful. This is Morning Cup of Gratitude, folks. This is a gratitude mug because when I drink from it, I drink from the cup of gratitude, because the cup of gratitude is a place to start in your paradigm where you can become something more. You can live more of your dreams. But if you don't have a heart of gratitude for what you currently have, you literally block your ability to see the opportunities to live the life you want to live. So take 2 seconds with me. Those on Twitch, those on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, comment in the comment or write down in the comments below what you're grateful for today. Then I'm going to start. I'm absolutely grateful for the an hour and 15 minutes I spent in the sauna yesterday. It was a true challenge. I actually lost 1.5 pounds. I weighed myself just before I went in the sauna. I weighed myself every 20 minutes. I was still taking in water, but by the time I got done, I had lost 1.5 pounds in the sauna. Now, of course, it's water weight. You carry some of that back on the next morning, but I'm grateful for my fitness and health right now. I'm in phenomenal health. I'm in some of the best health of my life. I'm 45. I'll be 46 this year. No, I'm 46. I'll be 40. I don't even know. I'll be 46 this year. I just did the math in my head. I'll be 46, and I'm grateful that I'm in the best health of my existence. I was even a CrossFit coach, and I was in pretty good health then. I'm in better health now than I have ever been. All of my numbers are phenomenal. I'm grateful for the openness going on in my life. I'm grateful that I am being faced with the challenge that I'm talking about today, because I'm preaching to myself today. The burden of freedom is heavy. So I'm grateful for that today. Listen, I normally cover the markets. I'm skipping that today. We're skipping the markets today. Long story short, the markets are down about 10% across the board, except for crypto. Bitcoin is down quite a bit from its all-time highs, but since the market's been tanking the traditional market, Bitcoin's been holding steady. But that's all you need to know about that, because I think this other message is far more important. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about why people aren't living their full life and how I believe you can start facing the burden of freedom, because it's a heavy weight. It's a difficult thing. There's usually this big boulder between you and the life you want to live, and we're going to chip away at that thing right now. You see, most people have good reasons, very good reasons, on why they don't live the life they want to live, and they don't feel fulfilled in what they're doing. Do you have excuses? Listen, if we're being honest this morning, those online, those on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, I want to hear, what are your well-formed excuses? Let's not call anyone out in particular, but I want to hear your well-formed excuses. I have them, and I'm going to share my own. A lot of people have their noble values, and I know this was me for a long time. Our noble values prevent us from taking action. We're serving other people. This was my excuse for a long time. I'm serving you, therefore I can't. I was supposed to be a great public speaker 10 years ago, and I'm pursuing it now. I was supposed to be a great public speaker 10 years ago, but I wasn't because of the people I was serving. My noble values that I put in air quotes, my noble values were preventing me. The important people in my life limit my desires somehow. Similar to, me putting other people first, it limited me. I had limited time because I was doing this thing that you needed. I was putting you first. Still an excuse. It's a good excuse. Still an excuse. So other people say these things all the time. I certainly have said them. Most people say that they can't because I can't, write that book because some person is in my way. I got to take care of these kids. I got to take care of my employees. Some people say I can't date the people I want. I can't have the risque life that I want because some social norm gets in the way. What would people say? How would people prevent me? What would my spouse say if I really brought up my true desires to them? I can't travel to the countries I want. I'm putting this in air quotes. I can't travel to the countries I want to travel to because of some limiting factor. I can't. There's not enough time in a day. There's not enough money. So many people are living in their limiting beliefs. And listen, these are real excuses, meaning they're valid. Meaning if you're trying to write a book and you don't have time, I believe that you don't have time. I believe that. If you want to date people or have a certain kink that you want to get into, even with a spouse or a monogamous partner, whatever your desire is, but social norms prevent you, I believe that there are real social norms that are scary and prevent you. I absolutely believe that. I believe that if you're trying to travel to other countries and expense is a problem, absolutely expense or time, they are challenges. These are real limitations. But if you believe that these limitations have power, they're real, but they don't have power over you, except that you believe in them. Is it true that your spouse might be weird if you brought up some weird kink and you've been with them for years? That's true. Yes, it's true. They might have a reaction. But the fact that that has power to limit you is a you problem, not a them problem. Is it true that it costs time and money to travel internationally? Absolutely. It takes time and money. But if you believe that that knowledge has power to limit you, that's a you problem, not a travel problem, not a money problem. And I'm about to show you how. I'll show you how. I'll show you what I mean. I'm not talking out of my butt. I've been correcting this in my own life in the last year, and I'm going to share with you how. If you believe that you want to write a book and you don't have time, that is a real problem. But if you believe that that problem has power to limit your choice to allocate time, that's a you problem, not a writing problem, not a time problem. So I believe that these are real limitations, but it's called a limiting belief because you have put belief in them that they limit you. Yes, they are real, but they don't limit you. They just force you to make a decision. Limits in your life, limitations in your life are only limitations for the most part. For the most part, there are some exceptions, but very few. But most of the things that you think are limiting you from, I don't know, whatever your goal is, writing a book, hiking the Pacific Crest Trail or the Tierra del Fuego down in Chile, dating new people or exploring yourself sensually, traveling to countries you want to travel to. There are true limitations. But if you put power in them by believing in them, that is why they limit you from enjoying them, because you put something else first. So here's the paradox. That's the problem most people are facing, but here's something that makes it more challenging. Can it get more challenging? It does get more challenging, and I have empathy for it. So, for example, if you give people, like I just gave you a reframe on those limitations, if you give people the freedom they're seeking, they are then directly faced with one major fact, and that is they are not bold enough. And this is something Nicole just said in her comments. She needs more courage. She is already facing this fact. If you give people the freedom they want, and I'm going to confess that I was the problem on this for years, and I'm changing it in my life, and it's taken a long time, but I'm changing this in my life right now. If you give people freedom, if you fight for freedom and obtain it, you are suddenly faced with a mirror that shows you were actually not limited ever, except by your lack of courage. Because you lack boldness to take action and face the consequences then, and now that you have freedom, you are afraid of facing the consequences now. Let me give you an example. If you want to write a book and you are given the time, but still struggle to finish the book. I lived in the Dominican Republic for a year. I worked my butt off. My wife worked her butt off. We put money away. And we put, at the time in 2011, 2012, we put away about $35,000. And in Dominican Republic, you can live, a couple of two can probably live for about a year and a half, 2 years, as long as you're not doing resort living, if you're doing normal everyday living. So this was our math. We moved to the Dominican Republic. We started getting jobs, and Marissa started doing scuba dive instructing right away. And I started writing my books. It was misery. I had full-time. I had a pool and a beach that I could swim, get suntan, swim, enjoy in the ocean, swim in the pool. I ate decent food, and all I had was a laptop in front of me and a blank screen, and it was difficult. And I was making excuses. I would write my dream book if I only had time, and now I had time, and I didn't write the book. It's because I was faced with the burden of freedom. I was free to write the book, but the true burden wasn't the limitations. The true burden was I didn't have my thoughts as clear as I like to think. And to sit down and actually write it out was a whole new habit. And it was a heavy weight to develop that new habit, to think about writing, to explore writing, to market that writing in time enough to earn an income so we could stay living on the island. That was difficult. It was difficult that I had the freedom. You could say white people problem, and I wouldn't disagree with you. It was difficult, though. If you want to date new people and you want to expand your sensual life, and you give someone the apps, your partner gives you full permission. In fact, your partner starts exploring, and they give you permission. Why don't you explore? And you get on Bumble and Field and Tinder and SDC and all the resorts, the clothing optional resorts. It's in front of you, and people are even hitting you up. And you suddenly realize, I don't really want to date. I know that when I was locked in a monogamous construct, I was saying, oh, I would experience more freedom if I wasn't tied down. I would experience more kink and go get this, that, and the other out of my system. But you realize when you're given the freedom option, do I really want that? Is that really who I am? No, it was a strong fantasy. But when you are given the burden of freedom, and now you've got to go date, now you got to go chat people up, now you got to go have conversations, now you got to go follow through, now you got to go deal with STI tests and coordinating people's boundaries, and you realize, I don't know if I really want that. The burden of freedom is heavy. Similarly, if you want to travel, everyone says, oh, I want to travel internationally. But they say, oh, I don't have the money. And then they realize that they can travel for less than a night out on the weekends. Do you know an airline ticket to Puerto Rico out of most places in the United States costs less than dinner at a fancy restaurant on a Friday or Saturday night entertaining a guest? Drinks and dinner, you could pay for your airline ticket. And you could get there, and then once you're there, it doesn't cost that much unless, again, you live the high life. Well, what if I have to rent a car and get a fancy hotel room? What if you didn't? What if you got just a normal local room? What if you actually took the taxi and the public transportation system that everyone else takes? What if you got an Uber? It doesn't cost that much more than a normal weekend of entertaining yourself. What about the time? Follow the TikToker who actually went to Egypt for less than 24 hours. He has a whole TikTok account, a whole following based on the fact that he does one-day trips. And he spends less than the average person entertaining guests over a weekend living in New York City, living in Atlanta, living in Orlando. So when you remove this barrier and someone still hems and haws and goes, I don't want to travel that much, I don't want to be in the plane that much, it is revealed that the burden of freedom is on you, and you actually just don't want that thing. When you are faced with the desires of your heart and you realize, I am free to do this thing, I am free to chase my dreams, and then you have a resistance, the truth is you haven't been limited this whole time. You just haven't been bold enough. And most people have a dream in their heart, and they have well-formed excuses and reasons, and valid reasons at that, but they are not limiting reasons. They are making a choice. You could choose to stay at home, spend more time with your family. You could choose to work on your business, or you could choose to get on a plane and spend less traveling internationally than you would staying at home entertaining people on the weekends. You could expand out of your monogamous construct. Well, Grant, what about the difficult conversations I got to have? I don't know if I want to upset my life that much. That's fine, but you're not limited. You have that option. Nothing's limiting you. So quit acting like you're a victim and start deconstructing your life. So here's my point with today's show. I went through these examples of fitness and health and writing your dream book and traveling to your dream destinations and dating your dream partners and revealing that you're actually not limited. You are just feeling the weight of the burden of freedom. The weight of the burden of freedom. Many people actually have more freedom than they act on. And if you give them freedom, they are faced with a thing that's, I'm just not bold enough, or I don't really want the consequences. The realization that most people have is there's two facts about humans, every human I know, and then we're going to solve this. The two facts about every human I know, they absolutely crave freedom and they absolutely make excuses and are afraid of the burden of that freedom. Maybe they have to develop new discipline. Maybe they have to have difficult conversations. Maybe they have to choose to travel internationally instead of entertaining that next date. There are a lot of limiting factors, but the two things that are true is every person desires more freedom in some area of their life, and every person is making well-formed and rational excuses for not experiencing it. So how do we solve this? The only way I know to experience more freedom, the only way I know to date the people you want, to have the fitness level you want, to travel internationally like I did. I just went to the Bahamas. I connected with a bunch of people at a crypto co-working space. I went by myself. I experienced a spa. I snuck up to the roof of a place and experienced a personal private sauna and met a lot of people, had a great time. I did that because I started embracing the burden of freedom. I had to take responsibility. What did I give in exchange? Well, instead of spending a bunch of money on taking people out and entertaining guests or going on dates or doing whatever in my hometown, I just reallocated that money to a trip. And that trip, literally, the trip only ended up costing me about $600. And in a weekend, if you actually count up buying food and for friends and family, spending time around entertaining guests, taking out drinks, all that sort of thing, you're probably spending over Friday, Saturday, Sunday about that. Go tally it up. And if it's not dead on, it's close. That's the value exchange. So how are we going to solve this? I believe that you can experience more of your life. Here's how we're going to do it. The total life experience. This is Grant Sparks' Freedom Framework. I call it a Freedom Framework because it helps you experience more freedom. The Freedom Framework is the TLE, Total Life Experience. It has 4 areas and every other person has theirs. This is mine. Fitness and health, healthy, happy relationships, work you enjoy or are passionate about, your life's work, spirituality, and connecting with others. These are the 4 areas, and they're a little Venn diagram. And I believe that every person has to feel a level 7 out of 10 or higher in every area to feel fulfilled and happy with their life. So they need to feel a level 7 out of 10 in their fitness and health. They need to feel a level 7 out of 10 in their intimate relationships. They need to feel a level 7 out of 10 in their life's work or their passion work. They need to feel a level 7 out of 10 in their spirituality. I'm grounded. I could sit alone and meditate. I could journal. I'm comfortable with my inner life. And I connect with God, or whatever you call God, or the universe, by connecting with myself, by personal study, by personal meditation. I believe everyone needs to feel level 7 out of 10 in those 4 areas. And here's how you can experience freedom. That's the framework. So how do you experience freedom? Go through every one of those areas and remove and eradicate old and outdated frameworks. For fitness and health, freaking doing cardio day in and day out will not create freedom in your health. I'm at the gym consistently lifting weights, doing a variety of workouts. I've landed on something that works for me. But the people that are in the worst shape, but go to the gym consistently, are people that do nothing but cardio. They have busted knees. They have injuries more than anyone else in the gym. And I'm talking about the old heads that have been running for 20 years. They've been cardio for 20 years. That's all they do. And then not fixing your nutrition and not lifting weights. Get rid of the old framework that cardio is going to get me there. Get rid of the old framework that I'm not going to track my calories. I got a good sense of it. These are old frameworks. You might not believe that you believe these things, but you act on them. Fitness and health. Get rid of the idea that I'm not going to track calories. I have a good sense of things. I'm just going to eat vegetarian. That's disproven voluminously with plenty of research that vegetarian lifestyle doesn't really do it. Cardio doesn't do it. You got to actually lift weights. You got to eat meat, not just meat, but you got to eat meat, and you got to count your calories and do caloric restricting to a degree. If you do not do these things, that's how you feel level 7 to 10. And then you got to go have the discipline to do that. And I make that sound easy. It's not easy. It's very difficult. The burden of freedom is heavy. It's heavy to count all your calories. It's heavy to have the discipline to go to bed on time when everyone else is out partying. I can't tell you how hard it is to go to bed between 6 and 7:30, which I do now. When I'm an extrovert, I love running with people, and I know they're all going out to that one resort that I'd love to go check out, that one party I'd love to go check out, that one, but I'm not going to do it. Why? Because I want to feel level 7 to 10. I want to feel free in my fitness and health. Healthy, happy relationships. Deconstruct your old frameworks. Some of you might be monogamous. That's fine. But most of you are trapped in monogamy. Meaning, I believe everyone needs to break down the framework, the assumption that it is monogamy. Even if you choose monogamy, which is fine to choose, but choose it not from the assumption that it's the only way. Go learn the other ways with your current partner. Go learn them, break them down, know what's available to you, have difficult discussions. I'm not saying this is easy. That's the burden of freedom. If you think you want more partners or you think you want to explore something, even with your current partner, you can't do it from a traditional Judeo-Christian Western monogamous construct. You can't do it. You want more freedom in your relationships? Explore what else is available, even if you do it with your partner. Work that you're passionate about, your passion work. You absolutely need to become an entrepreneur in some way, shape, or form. I believe that the economic system for those seeking freedom is entrepreneurship. Now, I'm not saying quit your job at all. You can hustle. You have the time to do this. You have the time. It doesn't take but 2 hours a night, which is about 10 hours a week. And then some Saturdays to build up your side hustle or build up another business, or at least cultivate the principles of entrepreneurship in your job. It's called intrapreneurship. That's where you're an employee and you act like an entrepreneur and move up faster, get more bonuses. Entrepreneurship is a set of principles that you can have a job or not have a job. You can have a side hustle, not have a side hustle. You could work for yourself or not. You could be building a business or not. There's a lot of ways to crack it, but entrepreneurship is a set of values and principles. If you think that working for someone else for 1 year, 2 year, we don't even believe in working for people 30, 40 years. That's long gone because these businesses won't be around in 6 years. But if you believe that working for someone else will ever get you there, now you can even side hustle. And a lot of people take entrepreneurship into the workplace where they develop a series of skills or a set of skills like data analysis, and they job hop until they're making 150, 250 a year. They're putting money into real estate. That's entrepreneurship. But you have to be working at an entrepreneurship level. And then here's the other thing I'm going to say, because this one is actually about work you're passionate about. Very few people are passionate about making money. I am not. I make money. I do well. I'm selling my books. I write my books. I have a Patreon. I've always made money, but I'm not passionate about making money. I'm passionate about the more aesthetic things of life. Arts, humanities, coaching. I make money coaching. I do a lot of personal development coaching. If you need a personal development coach, reach out. I help you with goal coaching. I help you overcome limiting beliefs. I help you achieve more, of course. But I'm more interested in anthropology and people than I am in making money. So as you make money, make sure you know a distinct why. Break down, I do this because it makes me money. Tear that construct down and replace it with, I have a strong why. I'm going to reinvest this money, or I'm going to start my side hustle and leave the workplace so that I can do what? You know how many entrepreneurs I know? I mean, I work out of all the co-working places I've worked for myself for the last, I don't even know, 20 years. I know more entrepreneurs than employees. I know more entrepreneurs than employees, and nearly all of them don't know anymore, who have made good money, millions of dollars. They do not know when to check out and go to the beach. They don't know when to cash out and travel. They don't know when to start spending money on people they like. They just, because they think it's about building money, they're passionate. They're not even passionate about making money. They don't even know why they're doing it anymore. So if you want freedom, take a minute and come up with your why. Otherwise, just become an employee the rest of your life and suck it up. But you don't have to. If you want to experience freedom, if you want to experience joy, if you want to experience happiness in the area of work you enjoy at a level 7 to 10, you have to deconstruct. And deconstructing starts with this one question. Why am I doing this? Why am I working for this employee? Why am I learning data analysis or investing? Whatever it is I'm learning. Why am I building a side hustle? To make money? No, that's not why. That's a means goal, not an ends goal. Means versus ends. You have a means goal, sure, but what's the ends goal? The end goal is to know when to check out. Okay, what's that number? What's that time? What's that skill set? I have a skill set now. I do not have millions of dollars in the bank. Millions have moved through me over time. But what I have is a set of skills. I could shut everything down, travel for the next year, and come back and fire something up and be making money. I know how to make money now. I have a set of skills. So I have the $1 million mindset and the $1 million skill set, and I have a bunch of assets that are making money too, right? But for me, it's cash flow, not asset growth. So it's like, do you even know that? So work you're passionate about is not about money. Come up with your why, know your end goal, and know when to check out. Because very few people, and I mean very few, there are very few people that are meant to be parents. There's even fewer people that are meant to make money. It's not in our ancestral DNA to pursue money. Provision, sure. To provide for ourselves, sure. But usually that was a day thing. We'd go out and hunt for the day or for a season and feed our people for weeks or months and then like move on. That's asset. That's flipping a house. It's more entrepreneurial. It's more nomadic. That's in our DNA still to this day, more than just plug it and chug it as a capitalist just building business. It's not in most people to build business. It is very rare the people that are natural born business builders, but everyone I believe is born an entrepreneur. Last one, spirituality. Deconstruct. If you want to feel freedom in the area of spirituality, deconstruct, tear down the old framework of your childhood religion. Get rid of it. Religion is supremely important. Go read Pathways to Bliss. I have the book. Oh, the book fell down. Pathways to Bliss by Joseph Campbell. Phenomenal book. Phenomenal book. It has a framework for spirituality that is second to none. He says this, though. He says, we all need myths when we're young to shape our values. But as we become an adult, which in his mind was around 18 to 20, we need to leave the faith of our youth in order to go put it to practice. If you believe in Christianity as I was raised, at about 20, it should be so well ingrained in the form of myths. It should be so well ingrained in the form of myths when we're in our youth that about 18 to 21, we should go out in the world, leave the myths of our youth, and then go into the world and put it to work. Go have compassionate works. Go help the needy, help the poor, build up resources and pass them to those who need them. Build up your own life. And not that you should abandon right living, whatever we call right living, having an ethical North Star. You should form your own belief around these things. So then journaling comes into play. Self-reflection comes into play. Personal study, mindfulness, meditation. So tear down. If you want to experience freedom, the framework you need to tear down from your total life experience in order to experience a level 7 to 10 is to tear down the religion of your youth. Go put the principles into practice to test out what they really mean, and then shape your own philosophy through journaling, through meditation, through mindfulness, through discussion. That's what your whole 20s are for, is to test out your philosophy. The 30s is to actually live it and to get traction. The 40s are for reinventing. It's a new spring, summer, fall, winter, right? So if you want to experience freedom in these 4 areas in your life, if you want to experience more, you have to tear down your limiting beliefs. And this is the burden of freedom. It's heavy to leave the faith of your youth because it's so ingrained in you. It's heavy to leave the framework of how to earn your income through what you consider stability through a job and to not develop entrepreneurship skills even if you stay in your job. It's difficult and heavy to reframe your relationship status in order to explore more, even if you stay in a monogamous relationship with your partner, to not tear down your assumptions about those relationship structures is a heavy burden. They're difficult conversations. You know how hard it is for your partner to tell you you're not enough? But I don't mean that from a love perspective. I just need something more. And I don't know how to say it other than we need to explore something more. You know how difficult that is to say? You know how difficult that is to hear? Nearly impossible, it feels like. And the same with your fitness and health. You know how hard it is to break habits of sneaking food or snacking or not counting calories? Of actually eating real meat and cooking meat for yourself? As opposed to just assuming I'll just get this packaged good or just eat vegetarian, that'll be fine. They actually start lifting weights instead of assuming that your cardio is actually called health. It's not. It's very heavy. Freedom, feeling free, feeling a level 7 to 10 in these areas is very heavy. But you know what's heavier? The people I meet in the locker room who, when I ask, hey, what's your dream? I ask every day, a new person walking through the locker room at the gym, hey, what's your dream? I don't know. I'm afraid. Other people are to blame. Other people are in my way. And if you hear one thing from me today, there are significant challenges to living a life of freedom, but they're not actually limiting you. Your lack of courage and lack of clarity. As Nicole said earlier when she was on, and she said her limiting belief was she needs more courage and clarity in different areas of her life. That is true for everyone. Courage to face your own desires in the multiple areas of your life, clarity to communicate it in kindness and love, but persistence. Because you're not going to keep all the people in your life. You're not going to keep all the stability, all the job income, all the relationships, all the religion. When you actually face the things that you believe are limiting you from experiencing freedom, you have to face the possibility of losing them. And that is not a lightweight. That's a heavy burden. And that's why today's show is about the burden of freedom. Because just in my life, in the area of relationships, that's had to change. In the area of travel, I've had to prioritize travel in my budgeting. No, I'm not going to take people out on Friday or Saturday night to that one fancy bar in town as much anymore at all. Why? I'd rather allocate that money to travel. Yeah, that's a difficult choice because I also have a huge ego need to connect with people everywhere all the time. Well, I just figure I'll meet people on the road. That's what I'm going to do. The burden of freedom is a heavy weight. But your joy tells you, your lack of joy tells you, you are not off the hook from facing it down. You have to stare it in the face. You have to have the conversation. You have to allocate the money. You have to allocate the time. And only then, on the other side of all that pain, will you experience a joy and a freedom you cannot describe to other people. People who are full of freedom and joy, they're not necessarily dancing around. They have a look of contentment because they know the price they paid. They barely made it through, and they're just taking a moment to enjoy it because they're about to face the next thing. You think that most joy is ecstasis, it's ecstasy, and there are massive moments of ecstasy when you enter a life of freedom, massive moments. But equal moments of weight and heaviness come with that. And so when you meet someone who's truly experiencing freedom, they have the 1,000-yard stare, we call it. It's where they're paying attention and not paying attention because they're contemplating the price they've paid. They're contemplating the next price they're willing to pay. They know what they're capable of, and they're weighing their options, not out of fear, not out of mania, but out of a knowing that the burden of freedom is heavy. Listen, I want you to experience more freedom. I want you to tear down the frameworks of your TLE that you think limit you. And it's going to be scary. But no matter what you do today, I want you to remember the mission: igniting lives of explosive significance, starting with your own. Have a great day.